So for a long time, people were saying that Force of Nature Cetrion is dog shit, that she's no good and blah blah blah. And while I admit that she's not as good as Spring Cleaning, she obviously isn't dog shit. I've said this numerous times before, and I'm like the biggest activist for Force of Nature, obviously. But the fact of the matter is that it goes down to a deeper issue of people having an opinion on things before properly doing research. I have one little hair that's just going to keep fucking falling on my face, but whatever. And I hate that. I hate that people don't give it a chance. So a lot of people, like, if you have a bad matchup, like say you're having trouble against Liu Kang, you're having trouble against Jackie, you're having trouble against Cassie, to some extent these characters are a little bit overpowered in some aspects. But, in general, I mean, they all have their weaknesses. But just make sure you do all your research before you kind of come to the conclusion that you can never win against these characters. So, for example, Jackie, I see a lot of people complain about that, and that they have problems with their 9-frame mids. And that kind of opens up another discussion on the meta of the game as a whole. So you have your whole poke, throw, 9-frame mids that people complain about. As a Force of Nature main, I don't really have to worry about these as much because my idea is just to zone them and get them away from me so that I don't have to play that stupid game that they force me to play, basically. So, I mean, and that's a lot of people's main gripes with the game. So if that's your whole gripe with the game and you want to enjoy the game but you can't, why don't you try a character that doesn't worry about those aspects, like Scarlet, for example. Cetrion's one of them. I'm sure there's a couple other variations that can kind of zone a little bit better, that don't have to worry about the up-close game. So, but it all comes down to doing your research and making sure that you're as educated as you can be on the problem that you have, instead of just trying it, not liking it, and just completely dismissing it without doing any background research. So the other day I was in the Cetrion chat and someone was saying that Liu Kang is like a really bad matchup for them. And again, as Force of Nature, I don't think that it's that big of a deal because I can just zone him and keep him away. So let's, for example, like a lot of people want stuff, but it's not realistic for them to actually get it. So let's say, for example, you're a collector main and you've played MK11 for a little bit, and you're just like, oh, I don't like this game. It's all this and that. But you only play as a collector, and you don't give any other characters a chance. So then you're having kind of an uneducated opinion on the game because you haven't really played the game. You've just played one character that maybe doesn't really suit your playstyle. So if you maybe went around the whole roster and tried all the characters and maybe a couple different variations, and then at that point said, oh, I don't like this game, it's not for me. Fair enough. You gave it an honest try. But, just saying, I want to play this character, and because this character isn't the way I want it, the whole game is garbage. It's kind of a bad mindset, in my opinion. So, I don't know. Sometimes if you give something a little bit more of a chance, especially if you want to win, like, for me, I'm totally fine with Force of Nature and just giving it a go, and bad matchups are bad matchups, whatever. But if you're really like trying to be at the top of your game and you really want to be a better player, you kind of have to play around with other characters and other variations, especially if you have bad matchups. If you just struggle in general with the whole poke, throw, 9-frame mid game, then play a character like Force of Nature or Scarlet. Doesn't have to deal with that, like just do your research and go around and make sure that you try every aspect of things before you completely write it off, is kind of what I'm saying. So that's something that I really kind of wanted to get out there, that I don't know, it's something that I use a lot in my daily life. So, and that's kind of the end of my my video game part of that, because you can apply this to real life as well. And we had an election last year, and for the first time ever, by the way, I'm not going to be preaching a side or anything, I just want to in general. And we had an election last year, and it was the first time that I actually took all the candidates and researched what they were about, what they've done in the past, and paid attention to what they've done in the present. And one thing that I found that's really useful is to find, like, if you have something that you agree with and that you absolutely want to 100% believe in, research the arguments against it. And I did that with Mortal Kombat, with Force of Nature. Like, I honestly believe in Force of Nature. So I went and I researched why people thought that she was bad, why people thought, and I did my best to try and prove why these weren't exactly talking points, or that she had options to kind of combat that. So, and I think that's the biggest problem, is a lot of people get their information all from one source. And that can be dangerous, because then you're just looking at stuff that you agree with and you're not really looking at possible facts that you're missing. As my good friend Drummer would say, I'm a man of facts. I don't really, have a side. I just, whatever I can find credible enough evidence to, I stick to that. And I think that's a good policy when you're talking fighting games or anything. So I encourage you guys to kind of think in that way, and like try not to have too strong of an opinion unless you've kind of looked at both sides of the coin. It seems like a pretty old thing, but I thought it was an important message, especially for younger people who are just getting into the world. It's easy to have an opinion based on one or two pieces of information, but if you find something and you really truly want to believe in it, research the other side of it, because there's been so many times that I've thought that something was good. To use Mortal Kombat as an example, Spellmaster, I was like, well, this variation is really good. He's got cancels, he's got the crashing flames, which is a great neutral tool, he's got this vial that gives him health back. And on the surface, I was like, yeah, that looks great. But the more research that I did into it and actually playing the variation, like, holy shit, this guy's garbage. So, just because you want to believe in something based on a couple surface facts, really just do your effort. Because as soon as you talk to anyone that knows about it, like if I talk to somebody right now and they're like, yeah, Spellmaster's really good, and I'm like, well, if you play the character, he struggles with zoning. His vial, you have to actually activate it to bring it back, which doesn't really help him that much because it's so slow to recover. Crashing Flames is good, the cancel is good, but the negatives kind of outweigh the positives. And you can find that out by playing the character. And that person might think, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll play the character a little bit more just to kind of cement my facts. That's all I'm saying. If you like something on the surface, research it more. Just make sure you know everything about it before you try and, get somebody else on your side about it. At first I was a little bit shaky about Force of Nature. I thought that she was kind of, she had some potential, but I wasn't sure if I could really unlock it that much. So the more I played her, the more that I've learned that she's actually a viable character. She could, top 8 in a tournament. And then Woolander went and made top 8 with her. Fucking guy, jeez. So yeah, I don't know. And now I'm an advocate for that variation. I will always speak out that variation is good, because I did my research and I learned a little bit about the character, and I didn't just blindly have an opinion on it. And I tried to back it up with facts as best I could. So I thought that's an important message, especially for younger people going into 2020. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Sorry if I got a little rambly. I'm old and that kind of happens sometimes. So what are your opinions on Spellmaster and Force of Nature? Force of Nature viable? Spellmaster viable? You're just going to take my word for it, or you're going to go do some research yourself? #BoneHawks, guys. Have a wonderful week.